Prologue. The year was 2007. There was a town, and it was dying. The casual passerby would barely know it was there. From the interstate you might catch a glimpse of a whitewashed farmhouse or register a momentary break in the trees where the old Little League field had been cut. The rest of it was well hidden. Solemn pine trees and blocky granite outcroppings ringed the perimeter. The only visible signs of civilization were the lights from the mobile station at the bottom of the exit ramp, and perhaps a rooftop or two. It was the proverbial wide spot in the road, One-Horse Town, USA. A good place to stop and use the bathroom on your way to someplace more interesting. Vermont, maybe. Or Paris, Texas. There were no more than 400 or 500 or 600 full-time residents. Less, depending on who you talked to and who they counted. Main Street started where Route 39 dried up at the eastern end of town. Out there, the road was potholed, and the double yellow lines were faded and peeling. It crept past a few ragged two-story apartment buildings and a trailer park before it became an honest-to-goodness thoroughfare with crisp yellow paint laid down on oily, glittering asphalt. When that happened, you'd be rolling past the municipal building on your right, a dull, squarish building of cinder blocks and red paint that Eisenhower himself would have no doubt approved. The Presbyterian church lurked directly across the street from it, and the two faced off like old foes. God and state, salvation and taxation, damnation and damnation. At any given time, you might see a police car parked in front of the municipal building, and you would definitely see a fire engine, assuming something wasn't burning somewhere. You might also see a gang of firemen out front, washing the pumpers and the volunteer ambulance, or selling baked goods for whatever the current fundraiser was all about. Farther along, you'd pass the only other government buildings in town. The public library on the left, with its vaguely mosquish dome and neat hedges, and, if you jammed on your brakes and peered up Manual Road, the edge of the schoolhouse. It served just over 100 students from grades 1 through 12, cramming the teenagers in with the prepubescents, because the town wasn't part of any regional school district like most other communities. Oh, sure, there was a post office, but that belonged to the federal government and could hardly be counted as community. Next to the post office was a clapboard garage shrouded in peeling green paint and a tar paper roof, a pride of beat-up old cars guarding the entrance. Most of these had handmade for-sale signs on their windshields. $900, best deal! But didn't ever seem to leave the yard. There was a bullet-nosed behemoth of a Hudson Hornet with rust-lined rocker panels and crumbling tail fins. There was an AMC Marlin. There was an International Harvester Scout with grill-mounted fog lights as big around as watermelons. It was called the Fix-It Garage, and it was where defunct American automakers went to die. All that was missing was a Studebaker and a DeLorean. There was a handful of other small businesses nearby, including Flo's Diner, which looked like something out of American Graffiti with its modular stainless steel construction and rows of sparkling red leatherette booths, and the White Horse Tavern, which wasn't much more than a box in the corner of a red brick apartment building. A neon sign hung in the window, and it always seemed to be buzzing open, even when it wasn't. It was assumed that both businesses had been named by their original owners, but they'd been around forever, and you'd have to go dig through the newspaper archives at the library to learn the truth to that. There was a big Victorian mansion right around Main Street, the Carlyle House. It had been converted to a boarding house in the 50s, and now rented out tiny abbey-like cells for $100 a week. Most of these were occupied by young men who made their rent payments by cutting lumber at the Grimer sawmill up in the hills. The rest of the town was made up of simple family homes, and until you got to the gas station on the other end of town by the interstate ramp, that was just about all you'd see. Colonials, mostly, with the odd split-level or ranch house that had trickled in during the post-war housing boom. This is the town you'd find if you ever had cause to venture off the freeway. But you wouldn't, so you won't. Here's how it died.